I'm very excited to have with me Ann Alexander Dupuis, right? And Ann has a kind of cool history. So Ann is with Elevated Health Systems, LLC, which she's going to tell us about. But I think your history in music is kind of cool. You have, you're a Wichita Symphony Orchestra youth leader, right?
Yes,
Plus you,
actually, former.
yeah, former. And then you've also played the French horn, which I think is cool. You have a music education master's in music, which is pretty cool. I think that the music side and the intellectual side, they kind of like have a nice meeting in the middle.
I agree. And I've met other people in different disciplines who, they believe the classical musicians have bring a certain angle to things, perhaps at times, or some skills that generalize well in other areas. So I've
I agree. I agree. And we can't really put, I don't know, I can't really articulate it, but I can feel it. I think I know what you're saying, Anne. So yeah, thank you for that. So I'm going to ask you some questions. And so the first thing I want to have you tell us about Elevated Health Systems, LLC. What do you guys do and for how long?
Elevated Health Systems mission is to make the world safer from dangerous pathogens. We do this
Mm,
through the automation of ultraviolet C light, which allows the ultraviolet light, it breaks the DNA of microbes and kills them. To utilize this in enclosed spaces and do it safely so that humans can occupy those spaces without being directly exposed. But the automation gives it the best of both worlds,
mm-hmm.
giving as much of that power to the facility
Mm-hmm.
while keeping people safe.
So the research that I did on your product is it's working when we're in the room. It's
Yeah.
working when we're there and it knows that there are people and we're breathing and doing all that stuff, right? I have that right?
Yes. And so it is continuously sanitizing the air with UVC light, improving the quality.
Mhm.
While we're there, it knows when you've left the room out of range,
Yeah.
and then a shutter opens up and directly exposes the room to full strength, industrial strength UVC light,
Okay.
which will kill actually any pathogen. It needs
Wonderful.
time to do it, but it will.
Love it. So since you've been in business, I was thinking, I looked back at your history. You've been in business a long time, and then the whole COVID thing happened. So how has your industry shifted since you've started?
Um, the industry has definitely shifted. Um, I approached this actually having just learned about UVC light myself. And so I was doing something different, working in a different biotechnology. It was
Okay.
with biofeedback and neurofeedback in the
Mhm.
brain, but it was a lot of technology. I was so intrigued by the UVC light potential that I started redirecting my energy there. So yes, we've been around since 2012, but those early years were really me doing the basic foundational research on UVC and
Okay.
understanding it. So, you know, I haven't had product to sell during that time. That was R&D time.
Mhm, mhm. I don't think I don't, and I would imagine others have no idea how much research goes into an idea that comes to market, right?
Um, Absolutely.
I mean,
And
let's hope there's a lot of research going into it.
absolutely. And for many different capacities, probably initially, it's really from a marketing position, like,
Right.
you know, because this is going to be a new product. It is rather pioneering.
Hmm.
At a certain time period, it absolutely was. People don't know about it. and they're afraid of it. They're afraid it's like an X-ray. Am I going to get cancer? And having to, bring them the research on that.
Mm-hmm.
But then just understandings. I've spent a lot of time really understanding the animal health industry, a lot of time spent there, understanding food processing and manufacturing, which includes meat processing and what their needs are.
Uh-huh.
And very distinct, and learned about all that. From their other manufacturing, and of course, the medical applications usually hop to mind first in people's mind. Oh, wow, I'd love to have that at my doctor's office, which we would love to have that.
Sure.
Doctor's office.
Right, right. Yeah.
There's just a lot to learn, and about
There
even
is, yeah.
attitudes of both attitudes of people with a new product. They're to be able to run it. And a lot of times people feel overburdened already, but often they're not looking for the next new thing to mess with. Sometimes you face that.
Trying to just deal with the last thing we had to be burdened with, right?
Have these trainings and such. So overcoming people's used to the status quo. It's like, well, we've done it this way, and what's wrong with that? That's true, but the fact is, there are so many infections. The status quo, didn't really serve us with a pandemic. In the face of the pandemic, 1 million Americans died. And, even besides the pandemic, with bacterial infections coming out of hospitals, they're common, and they don't like to be advertised by hospitals, but you can generally dig and get those numbers and find out that about 1 in 20 patients who enter the hospital leave with an infection they did not have,
Which potentially is will kill them. I mean,
which can
yeah,
life altering, because
yeah.
going to catch in that environment have been generationally turned into true super bugs.
Yeah, sure.
Really, you can't get them out of your system, and it's something else. And
It really is. It really is. And we can't keep ahead of it with medication because of just the way our bodies are built and all that. But the thing about the germs is they're invisible. Right. So it's like, well, if I don't see it, it can't be real. Well, if you can't see it, doesn't mean it isn't real. But if we can kill what isn't real, right? I mean, or what you can't see, sorry, what you can't see, I should have said, and which is real.
it is.
Yeah.
No, but you're so right. And
Yeah.
connecting those dots, people feel about, well, seems like I'm pretty safe. Well, you are.
Can't see anything.
Yeah, there's that.
Right. I think, Anne, it all goes back to such a simple explanation of washing hands. When physicians over 100 years ago, they went from patient to patient without washing, they didn't know. And they found that those germs were traveling. All they had to do was get rid of it, right? On the hands. So how do we get rid of it in the air so we don't breathe it, get in our eyes, ears, whatever?
That's it. And the pandemic has really brought that up to the high attention.
Yes.
I was mentioning this organization, ASHRAE, the
Yeah.
American Society of Heating and Air Handling and Refrigeration and all that. And as a result of the pandemic, there is a new task force that is really going to make sure that we're better equipped in the future. And I believe that's just great. It's great for people in the UV business. There's quite a range of products. I have a certain niche marketplace
Yeah.
way. And everyone in the industry, now that I'm getting to know my industry colleagues and peers, their heads are in the right place.
Hmm.
Really want to make things safer.
Yeah. And as a public, we don't know what we don't know, right?
Um,
I mean, we don't. So since you've been in business, what do you think has been your, as a business owner, what's been your biggest learning curve?
the learning curve has been the amount of steps and benchmarks and goals that have to be achieved in a solid, A+ way,
Uh-huh.
to even get on to the next step, and how many of those there are. And I may have shared that, I was encouraged by people who should have really known the intricacy of the whole technology um, product life cycle,
Mhm, mhm.
and not to believe you're going to do this 1, 2, 3, because you're not. It is rigorous building, well, engineering, finding the best engineers, working with them, and working through all that. And then the testings have to be at the high level.
Yeah.
In the meantime, there is patents that must be filed if you are serious about this, which we are, and all levels of just protecting yourself as a business with different insurances and legal documents. So there's a huge amount of um, foundation that has to be in place before you're going to get that product. Is really the tip of a pretty big pyramid.
Mhm.
It's a lot of engineering, a lot of legal things, a lot of science testing on multiple levels.
I think that what you're talking about too, as it relates to other businesses that will watch this interview, is you may not have a medical product or a technology product, but it doesn't matter. You still have things you have to jump through. You have to, like you, I think what you said, you have to have an A+ in all these areas if you're going to succeed. And it's multiple areas and it may be different depending on the business, but you've got marketing, you've got operations, you've got testing, experts, and all those things that impact where your business ends up going. And those are a lot of things to jump through, hoops to jump through. Not all businesses get there, right? They just don't.
And some products just don't need all that. I mean, there might be a,
True, yeah.
consumer product that just it does what
Mhm.
it does, and boom, off you go.
Right.
Well, this one I ended up selecting. Um, but in this, at the end of the day, this kind of product that will be in industrial uses, it has to meet all those guidelines.
Yeah, yeah.
The highest level, and maybe I will say the biggest learning curve, was going through UL testing.
Ah,
And I did have a team of high-level engineers, and that's great. But I also had a regulatory compliance coach. We were talking about
yeah,
the coaching
right. Mhm.
importance and dynamic. And he was just a wonderful coach in that he was very familiar with getting the product through UL and the back and forth and how it has to happen and happen efficiently. And, wording matters. You really have to read it like a lawyer and an engineer both,
Yeah.
and get that in place. Um,
And
but
then ultimately deliver to the public, which is not going to look at all of that.
that's the UL mark.
It is. Yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
What I appreciated about the experience of learning with him, his name is Claire Stroll, a gentleman in the
Okay.
East Coast, was he wanted to make sure I was in charge of each step so that I knew it for next time. And I really respect him, and I'll make sure that he sees this.
I will, and I'll get his name too right from you. The thing about a coach is we might not know the answers, but we can coach you that know how to get to them. So, and that sounds like what he did, which
Did.
is, teaching an Olympic swimmer how to get to the finish line fastest ever is what they do, right? So, that's cool. So how do you start your day? Because I ask all my entrepreneurs that. No one ever sleeps in past 10, I can tell you that. So what,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So how do you start your day?
Well, I start my day. You can hear I have a froggy voice. I've had a little sickness, but even when I do not have a little sickness, I have allergies. So my day starts with taking some allergy medicine and drinking a lot of hot tea.
Good. Very good.
And
Yep.
that gets the fog, the cobwebs out.
Yeah.
To be honest, I am a little bit of a news junkie. So I gotta have my news,
Yes. Okay.
get my brain going, it's kind of like doom scrolling, maybe, but it gets my adrenaline going,
Yep. Yep.
that off,
Takes
and
what it takes. Yep.
think
So,
about, get my day put
yeah.
together. And
So what makes you feel inspired? Because this has been a long journey for you. What makes you feel inspired day to day?
inspired day to day. Um, let's see. And we were talking about my husband,
Yeah.
who is a doctor
Yeah.
and the partner in this business. And being able to share this, we both have this just inner core mission to make the world safer, better,
Oh,
what we
that's
can,
wonderful.
do our part. If there's something novel, we want to do this.
Uh-huh.
And it's something we share as a oh, it's not a hobby, it's just an enterprise we share together.
Yeah.
And
It's a
uh,
passion for
we
you.
encourage each other when one person is busy or down or something. We
Mhm.
hey, get it back. And I've gotten to do some really cool things as a result, that we wouldn't have had without this,
Mhm.
you know, which to me is better than just vacationing. We just got to go to Hawaii because we were invited presenters at on a Marine base there in Hawaii.
Wonderful.
It was a very big and important conference. It's called the Pacific Operational Science and Technology Conference. And we were selected as one of 50 companies to be there presenting with our technology to the highest level of the Department of Defense, and able to speak to so many, well, decision makers and also the people who are more on the end user side of things.
Yeah, I think you want as many end users to know what you do as do people who have the ability to buy or purchase or to make a decision, because you never know who's going to be your advocate.
Absolutely, that's right. And so the feedback that we get, and we've learned that we really have fun working a booth. So our booth that we've developed over a few years is way cool.
That's
And we've got our
nice.
technology there. We've got it under this glass, so it's safe to do. And we know
Oh,
all the
nice.
places make it amazing, and teach people often want to just hang around for a good while to ask questions and learn.
Mm.
Happy to do that. And so that was one situation recently, but there have been others of those. And we look forward to future ones as well, where
And that says a lot about the energy and the passion that you guys bring to an event. I've been to events that have the booths and people can walk by or they can be engaged. Engaged is really cool.
it is.
Way to go, Ann. Well, what's the best way for people to find you?
That would be probably through our website.
Okay.
Is
Okay.
www.esp-dlux.com.
Okay. I love that. I love that. And then they can find you on LinkedIn too. So I'll put that on here too as well. This has been an awesome interview and I really appreciate your time. And I think your voice did great.
Thank you. I had fun talking about it. See, when I get
I can see
excited,
that. You're so excited. I love it.
I do get excited.
Thank you, Ann. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.